This is the Henry's Child Podcast. Am I crazy? Or am I just raving? Episode 2, Deconstructing I Will.
Hey, Tom and Andrew here from Henry's Child. Welcome to the second Henry's Child podcast.
Number 2.
Number 2 indeed. Now, if you haven't heard the first episode about our reunion show and how we came together, you should really check it out. It's honestly a great story about how we suddenly came together and got a Wow Hall show. But more importantly, that episode also documents the events that got this incarnation back together again. So as far as band news goes, things are up and happening for Henry's Child. We're still in the midst of working on the record. Jarrett Hawley, our producer, is currently hard at work with the record, doing what he calls comping. And basically comping is the combination of putting the bass and drums together so that Rich, Quinn, and Andrew can have a foundation of the songs to listen to. Not much to report this week other than we're working hard on the new record. Last week, I reached out to some friends on Facebook and asked if there were any songs from either Clearly Confused or Mumbles and Screams that they were curious about. And specifically, I asked if anyone had a curiosity about an origin story or the meaning behind the lyrics of their favorite song. The response was great, and we got plenty of good ideas of what you want to hear about when it comes to the songs that touched your life.
Yeah, except for Walt.
Well, Walt's, yeah.
Yeah. You know, I know you're going to listen to this, Walt. I love you, man. But no, we're not going to tell that story.
It is a good story.
It is. It's personal.
And
though.
if you see us
and
in
Walt
a show,
knows. And Walt knows it's personal.
Yes. Yes, he does.
Love you, man.
So, based on that response, today we're going to take on the song I Will from the album Mumbles and Screams.
It's a good song. It's got some history.
Yes, it does.
Most importantly, history created by our fans. What's interesting about this song, that it would be the first one chosen, is it's the song that has morphed for us or changed the most. We felt the need to change it for some reason. So that was a very popular song. It still is. If you're listening to this podcast, you were probably one of the people screaming I will from the audience. Or you listen to someone 2 people away scream I will from the audience.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes, it's beautiful. It's wonderful. Every musician will tell you it's great to hear that. I mean, I don't know. That's the fans giving back the energy. It's so...
Well, it's what they want.
Exactly. And it's fantastic. And I've been the guy, by the way, in the audience screaming for a song more than once, right?
Yeah, but you didn't scream I will.
No, I didn't. I haven't done that yet. Anyway, what happened was, though, that song somehow left our set list. I don't know what it was exactly. To this day, when you said, Tom, we're going to do this song, I listened to it repeatedly, and I tried to put myself back there. We had that song fade from our set list. Why was that? And I don't know. I can't get myself back there. Maybe I had something around it being too metal. I had an issue with that for a while.
Maybe we were bored with it.
Could be bored. Could have been. What happened, though, is when we cut it from the set list, it was immediately called for by the fans. We realized, I remember the first times we didn't play it in our set. We did our encore, and people were screaming for it, and they were thinking we were going to play it as our final encore. So again, our fans liked it more than we did. Our fans liked it significantly more than we did.
You didn't play I Will. Here's your shirt back.
Exactly. So we ended up bringing it back, but we felt the need to change it. So we added this really giant, wasn't that long, maybe it was a minute and a half long, this really heavy Korn-esque with that deep drum hit Doug used to do that just would rumble the entire place. It was great.
Circa 1998.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, contextually speaking. And then even when we got back together recently, we played I Will because people wanted to hear it. You even said so. But now we've changed it again. So we've actually had the audacity or the arrogance to make it a medley. We blended Tom Sawyer into it. We blended War Pigs into it. We love that. I really enjoy playing it. But it's the only song that's done that through our existence, which makes it fun to break down today. I mean, I think that's
Oh, absolutely.
interesting that the fans would call for that song that they like more than we like, right? I think that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah,
cool way to
that's
start
cool.
this.
So what I find interesting about this song is that you always refer to it as our angry positive reinforcement song.
Yeah, it is.
And I've always wondered what you meant by that.
Really?
Yes.
We've been playing that song a long time, Tom. You never asked me that.
It's been well over 20 years. And in preparation for this podcast, I listened to it probably 20, 25 times.
I listened to it a bunch too. Yeah, indeed. Well, what it's really born of is playing, for me in my mind, playing with the idea of what will is. Will has a kind of a blended meaning for me. Not kind of, it definitely does. You say, I will dig that ditch. I will love you for the rest of your life. It's a declaration of action. It's you putting your word out in the world. And for yourself and for the people you tell it to. But will also has the meaning of willpower, your inner will, the ability, strength. It is often interpreted as strength, at least culturally and as it occurs for me. This isn't for everybody, right? This is a personal interpretation.
Of course.
Please keep that in mind. I mean, there's no absolutes here. It becomes the generation of the term I will. Your will determines, your will directs you or manifests you saying into the world, I will, whatever it is you're doing, however way you're being. For me, at that time in my life, I had spent so much of my life listening, absorbing, willingly absorbing, please realize that, other people's energy. My parents telling me, cajoling me and encouraging me to be a certain way and act a certain way and be a certain being, frankly. I lived into that, what others told me. And I'm not blaming my parents. That's not what this is about. That's an opinion.
We all did that.
Of course. It's a natural progression through your own life. What got me out of that, what I found was my own will, which becomes who I am. That idea and that concept is where all of these lyrics and the strength of the song comes from, and the direction of the feel, shall we say, where it becomes angry because it's a force of will. So it isn't necessarily anger that you're hearing. It's the intensity, that fierceness of commitment, of will. So I don't have, but I will. I don't want, but I will. I don't need, but I know I will. It doesn't matter, but I will. So the will gets internalized right out of the gate. Then that's the release. Oh yeah, I said I will. I will. Going from there, which made the song a lot of fun, that very first verse, I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to be afraid. My courage is too late. I've believed too many lies, and now I'm hypnotized. So again, I believe too many lies. That's everyone telling me who I should be. Now, my 25-year-old angsty self interpreted those as lies, right?
Angst was kind of in the 90s,
It was in. Oh, good God. American white male angst. Driven a lot of good music. Kind of sad on the face of it if you think about it. Growing from that is a loss of identity, obviously.
Sure.
The song is so simplistic. I will. So simplistic because at the tipping point for me personally, and again, it's how it occurs to me, any change or transformation in my life may take a lot of work to get there, but the tipping point that puts you over the top, that allows you to make that change, that allows you to say, I will, and it happens. It manifests. It's so simple. It's so simple. It's just do it. So simple. So facile. Unless you've made a change like that, and then you get it. You get that it really is simple. And simple doesn't mean easy. Make no mistake.
Oh, absolutely.
It can be extraordinarily hard.
Can be
Extraordinarily hard.
Very difficult.
And very simple. So, I know it seems absurd. After all, they're only words. But if
I loved that line, by the way.
That's one of my favorites. I like that. I'm proud of that line.
Just words.
I know it seems absurd. After all, they're only words. But if you say them right, yes, I will. And you say them right, meaning you manifest them. You make that happen. I have to say, though, what enhances that verse and what helps propel that song, to get a little technical, is the drums.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
After listening to it so much this week, I have a much deeper appreciation for what Jeff Riley did on those drums.
Jeff was an amazing creative drummer. My only criticism, I wish he was more skilled in traditional drumming, but he was remarkably creative and helped
very creative
and helped us let Rich and I expand everything. We were able to play any style we wanted because Jeff was willing and engaged in all of that and able to play all of that. So his kind of march beat that's going through that verse, right? It's really cool. I know you have it queued up at this point, Tom. I think we should let people listen. So again, from the beginning of the song all the way through the end of the first verse, I want you to listen for that drum beat change, that march. It's really unexpected. It's not a usual thing in songwriting. And it's part of what really lands a song.
Yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful setup.
Let's do it.
I don't have what I will. I don't want what I will. I don't need, but I know I will. It doesn't matter, but I will. Oh yeah, I said I will. I will. Now I don't want to be afraid. My courage is too late. I believe too many lies, and now I'm hypnotized. I know it seems absurd. After all, the only words. But if you say them right, yes, I will. Oh yeah, I said I will.
Yeah, so it's got a lot of power, but really, I still give a lot of credit to Jeff for an unusual drum beat. It's just not what you expect, and I've heard that from drummers over the years. It's not what's expected over grooves like that. And it helps land the energy of the song, and is one of the reasons it's still so popular, frankly.
Totally. And the one thing I got from that too was the way he set everything up for the very next part.
Yeah.
Not just the expression of the ghost strokes, which are very, very cool and very creative, I have to say, but setting everything up for the very next part.
Agreed. So more on the song is, as this kind of interplay of what will is, you know what, certain times in my life I've been depressed, and at least to how depression occurs for me. I've never been suicidal. I've never been so depressed I've considered deeply or seriously taking my own life. And I know it's a sensitive topic right now with what Chris Cornell and Chester Bennington.
Right.
It's really in consciousness right now. I get that. And I've never felt that way, so I don't have that kind of access to the feeling. However, I have been depressed enough that I've blown myself up to 230 pounds. That
Yikes.
I've drank every day for 2 years straight. I've been that depressed. It's manifested in those sorts of self-destructive ways, without question. Well, what got me out of that, again, was will. It's a choice. It's discovery of that will in its simplest form. Everyone wants a technique. I get that. That's the work, getting to the point where you make the decision. Whether you're doing self-help, whether you go see a counselor, whether it's medication, whatever it is that shifts your thinking and your perception so that you make that choice to make that change or transformation in your life. You can have all the coaching in the world to get there. You still have to make that decision.
Sure.
It's your
Sure.
will. And that's what this song's about. I will. And that's what got me out of those depressions, was will in its simplest form, its most distilled form. And again, that's what this song is. So after those first two verses, it gets into, where do I find it? The song transforms. And once again, Jeff's drum beat drives it again. It's fantastic. Mm-hmm. He reflects the same march in the verses. Well, you get that anthemic, where do I find it? And that's the sing-along, and people sing that along. And that's where it transforms from what I'm saying into the audience saying it. Where do I find it? That's when they're owning that song as we're singing it at the same time. So you're queued up again, I know. Let's go ahead and play that. Let's play the first Where Do I Find It that have the really, again, I want people to listen to that drum beat. It's very interesting and very cool. And all the way through the first, I don't know if you want to call it second verse of the second half or of the song, but you know.
You got it. You ready? Here
we
go.
Go for it.
I will.
So the first two verses is more about your internal struggle, and the outro is more of an external struggle.
It's a telling. It's a how-to. The internal struggle of trying to find it is the beginning, and then it's the how-to is the end, right? It's really in your face, and it's really fierce because it's so simple to land the point.
Yeah.
I start it with almost making fun of myself. You know me, I'm easy, but it's plain to see you are never going to be. I've no doubt you've been down. So what? Get up. It's in there waiting to be found. Where do I find it? It's inside yourself. And again, it's so simple and obvious because it is so simple and obvious. Now, simple does not mean easy.
No, it does not.
And I don't want to say that it's easy to walk out of depression. It's not. That it's easy to get yourself out of a horrible situation. It's easy to quit drinking or quit smoking or any of those sorts of things that take will and willpower. It's not easy, but it really is simple. That's the how-to of the rest of the song. So again, where do I find it? Where do I find it? No, I can't say why you're that way. Just sitting there waiting for someone to blame. The victim stance we all do.
Oh, the victim stance.
Right.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I own that. I still do that. I still find myself being a victim. I had a big change at work, and I was whining like a victim around it. And I caught myself doing it.
If you just stay on the record, 5 songs after I Will is Victim by Choice.
Wow.
I'm sorry, 6 songs later.
I don't think we should break that one down. That's a little too sinister. I don't think I want to.
Not today.
Don't want to put myself back there.
Not today.
So again, it ends that way though. It's not fair, but I don't care. You're the only one that's been stuck in there, right?
Yeah.
And you have to let that all go. It's a choice, at least for me. And again, this is how it occurs for me. And I felt powerful about it. I still do. Will is still something I deal with and I live with and exists in my life. Making choices. I took up a new hobby. I've been jumping out of airplanes. And it takes will to put your foot on that tire at 12,000 feet.
And a bunch of other stuff.
Well,
I just think about that and I become terrified. And I'm sitting on a couch right now.
Yeah, it's beautiful and amazing though, to face a fear like that and overcome it. Yeah, it's lovely. It's fantastic.
The duality of the term "I will."
Yeah, will.
Well,
right? Anyway, so it's a great song that got chosen. Again, I love the fact the first one that got chosen was the song that our fans love more than we do.
it's
That's
absolutely
great.
fabulous.
That's so good.
It's great.
Well, I'm hoping next week I get to pick one that I like, but I have a feeling that I don't get that privilege for a while, which is fine.
If you want to go on Facebook and add comments to the Henry's Child fan page,
oh, there you go.
Then you can do it
Right on.
as your alter ego.
Right on. So I guess that's it.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew. Thanks for sharing those stories and giving the back history of I Will. Fascinating. Good stuff.
Positive reinforcement song.
The
Angry
positive reinforcement song. You can't beat that.
Who coined that? That wasn't me, you realize. That was a fan.
Well,
true story.
Somebody out there gets royalties.
I think Brian knows him. Brian Forster knows
He
that
probably
guy.
does. Well, listen, we hope that you enjoyed listening to our story and the history of I Will. And, as you can tell, we had a lot of fun doing it. So if you like what you heard and want more stories from Henry's Child and more stories about songs and their meanings and their origins, please do us a favor and subscribe to us on iTunes or Google Play. And if you really liked what you heard, please go to iTunes and give us a 5-star rating so that we can keep bringing these stories to you. As always, if you want to get a hold of us, you can write us directly over email at henryschild@henryschild.com, or you can reach out to us on Facebook, which is where everybody else does, and we love it. We love suggestions, feedback, and especially recording this new album and getting it ready for your ears. Thanks again for listening, and we will talk to you soon.
It came out my